North Korea has fired another ballistic missile, its second launch in less than a week. While the exact type of missile remains unclear, experts say the latest launch could offer clues into Pyongyang's advancing missile capabilities and the message it's trying to send. For more, we have our defense correspondent Park Kun-woo in the studio. Welcome, Kun-woo.
Thanks for having me.
Kun-woo, let's start with the ballistic missile itself. Could you explain what happened earlier today?
Yes, of course. So North Korea this morning launched a ballistic missile from the coastal areas of Wonsan toward the East Sea at around 6 a.m. And today's launch came just 6 days after Pyongyang fired a short-range ballistic missile on August 6, marking its 11th such launch this year. And according to Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff, the missile flew over 700 kilometers with South Korean and U.S. intelligence authorities tracking and sharing information from the early stages. While missiles with a range of 300 to 1,000 kilometers are typically classified as short-range, it's notable that JCS didn't identify Wednesday's missile as a short-range ballistic missile.
Then, Kun-woo, does that mean it may not have been a short-range ballistic missile?
Possibly. And that's where things get interesting. And one possibility is that North Korea may have shortened the flight range of an intermediate-range ballistic missile for the test. And one expert I spoke to says the flight characteristics point to the possibility of a hypersonic weapon.
There's a strong possibility a hypersonic ballistic missile was fired. Or it could also be a hypersonic intermediate-range missile. The missile appears to have shown a similar flight distance and warhead trajectory as the one launched on January 4th. This could have been a test aimed at improving its hypersonic capabilities.
The same expert also sees today's launch and the one on August 6th as part of a step-by-step testing process aimed at improving the weapon's performance. Other experts see a possible link to the war in Ukraine.
North Korean missiles are already being used on the battlefield. The latest launch could be aimed at meeting Russia's demands by testing new missiles, improving shortcomings in existing systems, and demonstrating enhanced capabilities.
Now, Kun-woo, we also saw pictures apparently showing the missile from South Korea. That's highly unusual, isn't it?
That's right. The missile was apparently visible for some residents in Gyeonggi County in Gangwon Province near the launch site, which experts say is quite unusual, as it's not common for people to visually observe a North Korean missile in flight.
It's normally difficult to visually observe a North Korean missile from South Korea. This could also suggest that North Korea was testing a missile with different flight characteristics.
Following Wednesday's launch, the National Security Office convened an emergency security meeting, also joined by officials from the JCS, to assess the situation and review response measures. It also condemned the North's repeated launches as a violation of UN Security Council resolutions and urged Pyongyang to immediately halt further provocations. The JCS said the military maintains the capabilities and readiness to respond overwhelmingly to any provocation under a robust combined defense posture.
Now, Kun-woo, I do have to mention the missile launch comes just days before South Korea-U.S. Ulchi Freedom Shield exercise begins next Monday. What can we expect from this year's drills?
Yeah, so the Ulchi Freedom Shield is expected to take place from the 17th, which is next Monday, through the 27th. And some 18,000 South Korean troops are expected to take part, with officials saying the scale is similar to previous years. The United Nations Command will also participate with around 70 personnel from 12 member states, including South Korea and the U.S. While Seoul and Washington maintain that the exercise is defensive in nature, officials say this year's will focus on responding to evolving threats, including those from North Korea.
Involving aspects of warfare, including drones, GPS disruption, and cyber attacks, are expected to be reflected in the exercise Space Forces Korea's. What I will also say is DPRK soldiers have deployed and fought in Ukraine, and they've taken those lessons they learned there and brought them back to North Korea. That changes the DPR capability, and our training accounts for that threat.
Alrighty, Kun-woo, thank you for that report.
My pleasure.